Welcome, everybody.
Welcome to the
Welcome.
ADIOS SENOR podcast. I am
Jake
your
Wild,
host.
and on my right,
Alex, you just took your prerogative with the intro.
I really
was
did.
Getting in there.
I really did. We're just gonna bounce right off you.
I know.
Like a rubber ball. All right.
We have a guest. We have a guest star.
We do have a guest star here today.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
I am Illeana Baquero.
Awesome. Okay.
Very nice. All right. We got a podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
I know.
So
it's all together.
Yeah. So we were talking a little bit before we started the podcast with Illeana, but maybe we'll talk about it a little again now that we've started it. So how have you been dealing with this crazy crisis?
Yeah. It's been stressful, and I was saying before that it was in my own house, so it was like 2 weeks of just like a lot of tension and stress and uncertainty, and that was definitely hard to deal with. And luckily now things are getting better, but it's definitely still a time of like, what is going on overall?
Yeah. Do you think that there's a lot of, having experienced it firsthand, right? Do you think that there's a lot of misconceptions about it?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think people, especially people like our age, feel like, they're invincible from it, and like oh, only for old people, only for people with conditions, and like that's just not true at all. And if you get it, maybe you won't end up in the hospital or on a ventilator or something, but if you get it, it's gonna suck. And it's not like just some old flu. Like it takes a lot of different forms, and it's not fun. So
definitely.
I've read that like these Olympic athletes who get it, like they're not immune to it either. They're like getting like these horrible symptoms, and they're like the best of us. They're in the best shape, and it's clear just how like debilitating this disease can be.
My dad was telling me about some guy who was like in his 30s, young guy, totally healthy. He was like worked in construction or something, like fit, all good, and he just died from it a couple days ago.
Oh my God.
So it's like you can't just think because you're of a certain age group or you're healthy, whatever, you can't just assume you're going to be okay, and you should be protecting yourself just like everybody else.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I think that it's in our monk. I think that we have this attitude about certain things can't reach us, right? Whether it be, I was just thinking about it in terms of like somebody does something, maybe it's like underage drinking or something, right? Something that
nothing's gonna happen.
Isn't so horrible. They know in their heads, it's like almost like, oh, nothing's gonna happen to me. I'm invincible. Do you think that attitude definitely plays into this whole like attitude about people with the virus?
For sure. And like, I think people just, exactly like you're saying, people think, oh, because we're young, because we're, these things aren't things that we're accustomed to experiencing. And people think that like, oh, nothing's going to happen to me until it does. And that's why it's so important to take this seriously. I mean, like, we've never seen something like this ever happen in our lives. And so for a lot of people, I think it's just like denial almost. It's like, it's so unreal. And it's just important to like really understand why that's all happening, and to keep yourself informed and educated on what's going on.
Definitely.
I think the most important thing to do is just to be resilient in whatever ways you can, and kind of just make a new normal for yourself. I think more than anything, because I found myself at first like going crazy, because like I was like, I can't stay home. I can't do anything. And I don't know, I just think over time, I think I subconsciously kind of accepted the fact that this is like a new normal. And I think, because right now, like I still feel happy, which I think is good. Like I wasn't expecting to like be in this good of like a mental state by this point, because I'm a person that like always likes to get out there and like never likes to stay home. It's just kind of interesting now how that's kind of taken form and how it's changed.
And I also think like a lot of people have been trying to do that, like finding a new normal. And like for some people, it's like, I know that some of my friends were like, oh, I do my makeup every day, and like I dress up as if I was getting out of the house. That just makes them feel like more productive, more like things are normal and okay. And I think that it's really good for
Oh, Illeana cut out for me.
Me too.
Interesting.
I'm sure she'll hop back in.
Yeah. Here, we can always chat, Here. You're frozen. See, we can either edit this out right now, this part, or we can kind of have this like.
It's raw.
It's raw.
footage.
Yeah, we can. This is like the real us right now. This is the like unedited, uncensored, everything. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I think she was making a good point. Oh, she's back.
Hi.
She's back.
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
It's
No
okay.
worries.
Internet cut out for a second. All right.
Gonna roll with the punches.
Yeah.
Roll with the contours. Yep.
I think we were talking about like a new normal, right? Finding a new normal.
Yeah.
Something I've been thinking about a lot and been talking to my family a lot is people are saying like, oh, I want it to go back to normal, right?
Yeah.
Like I want it to, but like I keep thinking about like how like this is all taught a lot of people. I think that like what we were in before wasn't normal. Like the way we were living our lives, rushing from one thing to another and not appreciating each moment. That's not normal. Like not having meals with your family, or maybe having a meal with your family every month as opposed to like every night. Like I think in my family, I've seen that that's been great for us for like connecting a lot more. And I think that, that's definitely something that we should keep in mind is that we started only about 75% normal. We weren't even normal before. And if we can change our normal to be a little bit more connecting with other people and something that can actually, something we can take to benefit from this quarantine is maybe that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like after this is over, I know that I've taken so for granted, like seeing my friends on a daily basis and getting out of the house. And like after this, I'm gonna be like out every day, like
and like living your best life and kind of just like
exactly.
No regrets, nothing, just living it to the fullest. Now I've been doing a lot of reflecting too, because obviously like I feel like you can never truly appreciate something until it's gone, which I know is a little bit pessimistic, but I feel like it's true. Like, again, I like being social with people. I like going out there, and I just
social butterfly.
I know, but being in this new environment's kind of weird, and how we've had to like adapt how we communicate as a species. Like, obviously not being together and still keeping in touch.
Yeah, and I was saying, I remember like at the very beginning of quarantine, we were talking, me and my parents. And we were saying, like, if this had happened like 100 years ago, I think we'd all be going insane. Because nowadays, the good thing is that like we have social media, we have Zoom, we have texting, we have calling, FaceTime, we have like a million ways of keeping in touch with each other, which at least retains some sense of like keeping in contact with people.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, 100 years ago, they had the Spanish flu, and that was so crazy. Like 16 million people died. I know.
Dempsey loves to bring up his history.
I know, you got to get the historical context.
But no, he's right. It was very similar in it.
But people didn't take the same precautions, and I think it really shows because so many people died, millions of people died, and like the whole world
if we can be better. Right.
And I feel like we're learning from those mistakes. We're taking precautions now, and we're to again like level the curve or whatever, flatten the curve. That's what it is. Yeah. And to really just make an effort to mitigate the impact that this event can have.
Definitely. How do you see politics playing into this, right? Do you feel like it's
political?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. I think that's something that's do you feel like politics on both a national and local scale are playing a big part into this crisis?
Like doing enough?
Yeah, or how do you feel that each level is on?
I think definitely we should have been on top of this sooner. Right. And I think that if we had done a better job from the very beginning, we have no way of knowing, but I think it could have been contained better. And I also think that the approach we kind of have in the sense of like it being state by state in a sense, where like New York is on lockdown, but like people in Arkansas are like going out and doing their own thing.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty dangerous because that's like asking for trouble. And like, let's say someone from New York goes to Arkansas and then spreads it to
Right.
1 million people
Yeah.
there, and they're not on lockdown.
Right.
That's really
that causes
problematic.
problems. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think it should be handled more in like a, we're all in this together. We should all have a game plan for this type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
I also think there's been a problem with all these politics and all these different levels fighting with each other. And I think we as a nation right now are all over the place with our leaders because our leaders can't agree with each other about anything during this crisis, which is scary because you have some people who are being too lax with this. And then there are people who are really trying to keep this isolation going. And I feel like we need to find a balance within there and some unification, or else it's going to cause a lot more problems just with people fighting. And I think the American public having trust issues with the government.
Yeah. I think throughout the process, it's gotten a little better, like at kind of them also just like communication between the people and the government and kind of keeping us informed in what's going on. But I think, I agree. There's like a lot of contradiction between like, I think like the example that's popping into my head immediately is like de Blasio saying schools are closed for the year. And then Cuomo being like, no, they're not.
No, not
and
at
it's like,
all.
which one is it? Like they kind of should have this communication not in the public eye. And
that was so confusing.
I think that unification, like you said, was really important.
Yeah,
that's important.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that the election? How do you feel like the election is going to be impacted by it?
I think this is definitely going to be a defining moment for both candidates because it's like this is probably the most important thing that we could go through.
Sorry about that.
This is probably like definitely the biggest thing that at least I've experienced in my lifetime. And it's like, if we've ever needed a leader, this is the time. And so it's going to be I think, really important moment for both of them to show how they can handle this.
Yeah, who's going to stand up and really act as a leader?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we could say stuff about Trump all day about how he's like contradicting himself and everything. And, Biden has his flaws too. It's just interesting because for politics now, I feel like I see like all the imperfections in candidates, whereas before I kind of saw them as these like holy beings who like could do no wrong. It's just interesting now, like growing older and kind of seeing the faults in people.
Yeah.
And everything's magnified right now, right? So the only people out right now like working are the essential workers, obviously, but you're not watching the essential workers on a TV screen all day. You're watching the politicians on a TV screen all day.
Yeah.
So right now it's like they're being viewed as the voice, and they're being viewed to the American public as the essential workers. So it's like you're seeing them and you're seeing their opinions, and that's like the only real opinion streamline that's like being fed into your head right now, which is really interesting.
It's also with kind of local communities as well. Like those obviously have a say in your beliefs too, but obviously you're not really getting that anymore because you're not seeing them. So it's just interesting how people's point of views are going to change without the influence of like different communities that you're a part of as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's shift it to something a little lighter. Lighter than politics. Have you something I think me and Dempsey wanted to talk about was like good in like the arts and like music that's coming out during this time. So we'll start with like what have you been doing yourself? Have you been doing anything yourself to better yourself, whether it be music, whether it be art?
Yeah, definitely. I've been getting into drawing, which I don't do regularly. So I've been doing that. And I've also been doing a lot in music, just like finding a lot of inspiration recently, getting into new artists because I don't have much else to do. So I've been discovering a lot of new music and kind of finding inspiration in that. And I think that it's definitely a super useful tool. I mean, in whatever is going on in life, especially in something as extreme and crazy as all of this, it is so important to find that comfort in arts and I've always found that for myself. It's always been like a really safe place for me. And so I think, especially during this time, it's been super helpful in kind of navigating through all of it.
Yeah,
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I think through songwriting and playing music and doing that, it's really one of the few ways of expression I think we can get right now. So I think that's why it's so important to kind of keep up with that and like learn some way to express yourself one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
What have you been listening to?
Yeah.
I think, like, for me, I don't know why Coldplay has been like at the top of my list recently. I've just been like getting into all of their old stuff for some reason, and like watching their live performances. They're killer live.
What's that good old song they have? They have one good song.
Viva La Vida for me
Viva La
has been
Vida.
like
That's a big one.
amazing. I love that one.
Course.
I was so into that when it came out.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful song. I've been listening to that one on repeat.
They have this song that I never knew, and then a bunch of people that know music really well recommended it to me. It's
The Scientist.
Album.
The Scientist is good too.
That's also
all those are amazing. All their top hits are amazing. There's one that's not that
Fix
big.
You, Paradise Clock.
Spies.
Spies?
I don't know if I've heard that.
I don't know that one. Here, let me do that.
Let's see.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Do you hear it?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's not have more than a few seconds so we don't get copyrighted.
Dempsey.
I'll just skip it. Skip around.
Skip around. Here, I'm adding it to my...
His voice is just great, and they...
Amazing. And they're like, I don't know, they're just like something about their songwriting and just their sound overall has been like really comforting and like healing for me. I don't know why.
Definitely.
And so I've been, especially like their live performances, it's just like, it's so nice. So I've been watching a lot of that, and they've been like one of my top artists right now.
Very nice. Anything else? Anything else you've been listening to?
I have been creating a lot of playlists.
Really?
I've been getting into like kind of, even though it's not at all summer, I've been like creating all my summer playlists with like my feel good music. That's been really nice.
Very nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, I have like a collaborative playlist with my friends, so we're all like dumping music that we like in there, and that's nice also for like recommendations for stuff.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Jake and I and a few other people have been making this like cool spring playlist, and it's cool because, you know, Jake and I have very similar tastes in music, so we listen to a lot of the same stuff. But some of our other friends listen to other types of genres, so it's interesting, kind of the culmination and seeing all these different genres of music and types of music coming together and kind of introducing myself to more.
Right.
And for me, I find like I usually fall into like the same couple songs, and like when I make a playlist I just like shuffle it for like a month. It's all I listen to. And it's been nice to have like that, I said, that collaborative playlist. It's been nice to like hear what other people have been listening to, and also get into people I've never even heard of and experiment with my music taste. And it's been awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's the only thing right now that you can really like completely dive into. Or one of the only things. And yeah, it's almost like for a songwriter or somebody that's creating, it's almost like taking your vitamins, listening to music. It's kind of how I think about it.
Analogy.
You're listening to all different music, and you're taking it in, and I don't know about you too, but like for me, I try to listen to so many different genres. So it's like you get a little bit from everything, and then it comes together and it can create something really amazing.
And like you were saying, as like a songwriter, artist, whatever, it's like, it's interesting how I find that it comes out in what I write. And like, I'll record something and listen back to it, and I'll be like, whoa, that sounds just like the song that I was listening to. And like, it was so subconscious, but it just comes out like that.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. Like, it's really interesting how what you listen to affects what you create.
Yeah. I mean, also what you listen to affects your mood so much. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
because I listen to a lot too. I listen to, again, like indie rock, that like genre,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like Rex, all those people, and I also listen to a lot of classical too, just like pure classical, like Beethoven, Chopin, all my favorites. And it's just interesting because I'll listen to classical when I really need to study, and then when I want to like be like motivated to do something, and then I'll like listen to a lot of the indie rock stuff when I just want to kind of chill and kind of be in my feels and stuff. Just interesting how music can affect how you feel.
100%.
Totally.
And it's like a whole other world, especially like singing for me, even if it's not creating something, like just going online and looking up an instrumental of a song and like singing to it. It's so crazy how it just like transports you to another world. Like for me, I can't think about anything else. If I'm singing or writing music or listening to music,
Totally.
it's like
You're
the only thing that I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Totally.
And it's like, it's such a nice escape. And it's always been that way for me. Just like, it's such an escape from real life, especially right now. I feel like we could all use a little bit of that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been a useful tool for me.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing so much singing too. I mean, I took Jake's keyboard from the studio, and I've been just playing that so much and like doing covers and really expressing myself. It's great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I definitely think it's the best thing you could be doing right now, or one of the best things you can be doing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you picked up any new instruments or worked on any new instruments?
My wall of guitars over here,
right?
That I've been trying to teach myself a bit on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been focusing on.
It's great.
Usually my dad teaches me, but unfortunately he's been incapacitated these past couple of weeks. But now hopefully I'm going to start getting back into that. Yeah. So that's fun. Yeah.
That's great.
I started playing guitar like last year, and then I played for a few months and I completely dropped out of it. And now I'm starting to go, now I'm starting to get back into it and playing songs and stuff. I don't know. For me, I gave up guitar because when I started like playing chords on piano and stuff, I just found it so much easier. But now I'm kind of like at a level at piano where I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm like at a good point, and I kind of want to go back to guitar and kind of see where I can go with that.
Yeah. I'm kind of similar too. Like I played guitar for like 6 or 7 years, and I kind of took a break just because I felt like I wasn't the guitarist that was going to be shredding or soloing, right? And I felt like as a singer-songwriter, I reached my glass ceiling
I knew
in terms of
what
is el techo cristal. I feel like I reached my glass ceiling in terms of what I would be doing as a writer on guitar. And I felt like, and as I slowly moved over to piano in the past few years, I felt like I was learning more, but I felt like it was more visual. And I felt like I still think I can write 9 good songs on piano to every 1 good song I write on guitar.
Interesting.
And none of them are like really great, but I can write better on piano. So I feel like that's definitely been something I've been working at. But I've also been getting a lot into guitar, like just kind of finger picking. Challenging myself, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I want to challenge myself to songwrite in general, because like I wrote a bunch of poetry earlier this year, and like I go through these like poetry moods, and I've always wanted to put it to song, but I've always thought it's too hard. But now I have this opportunity now. I'm like, should I go for it? So I want to try and do that. Like,
Illeana, what's your writing process?
For me, it's like I just like find inspiration in the weirdest places at the weirdest times. Like I'll just like hear something in my head that's like, oh, that sounds cool. Or like I'll hear a song, I'll listen to a song, and I'll like in my head imagine a different way that it could have been written.
Right.
And just like mess with that for a while.
That's great.
Or like
that's cool.
If it doesn't start with the melody, I have like cool lines that I think of. And like I just like jot them down. I have like lists of like just phrases in my notes. Yeah. And I just like work with them. And like if I'm ever writing, I just like pull them up and I'm like, how can I work this into a lyric? Or how can I build a theme of a song around that?
Definitely. Yeah. I think so your lyrics first, usually.
Yeah. It kind of, definitely. I think I've always been like, I wrote a lot growing up. I was like convinced I wanted to be a writer, and I'm still really interested in that. but I've definitely been very much into like the writing aspect. And so, yeah, it usually comes to me more in the form of lyrics as opposed to the melody.
Yeah, that's
Nick,
great.
what about you? Like, what's the process for you?
Yeah, I'm kind of the opposite. For me, it's I've always kind of, ever since I was really little, like my grandfather taught me how to play piano, or taught me how to just get into music. Like there's stories, like he's 72 or 3 now, 74 now. And there's like, they always tell me stories about it. My grandfather's 60th birthday party, which I was 3. And there's this Hebrew song. It's called Imti Pnuli. And they said I would always just be singing it there. Like I was 3. Aww. So like, and I would get up on stage and sing it in front of everybody at those parties. And I guess he's my biggest influence musically. And he would always tell me when I was little, he'd be like, you have a really good ear. Like I would always just be able to kind of hear stuff. And I kept singing. I just kept doing it, I guess. I really liked it. And so for me, it was always melodies first. I never really considered myself to be a writer, although once I got into it, I think I really liked it, but it was always melodies. I always just was drawn to really good melodies. Like, I don't know, like I listen to like certain Charlie Puth songs and certain music just for me is like the melodies are just golden. And so that's what I kind of gravitate to. And then I put chords behind it and kind of try to figure it out.
Nice.
And then, lately I've been getting into lyrics. I learned that for myself, the best thing that I can do in writing is not try to write like anybody else. So it's like
yourself.
Once you let yourself be yourself in any style of writing, then you're able to elevate yourself to the next level completely, in my opinion.
Well, I think that once you do that, you kind of release all the pressure. So I feel like there's a lot of pressure when you're trying to like write in someone else's style. Right. Like you need to like meet their expectations instead of setting your own per se.
Yeah, that was the way I approached it for the longest time. Like I would get really into an artist and then I'd be like, oh, I wish I had written that song. For me, that happens all the time. Like I'll listen to a really good song by someone. I'll be like, oh, I wish I had thought of that.
Yeah.
Like I wish I'd written this song. And so I'll like try so hard to replicate it. And that always ends in me feeling like burnt out or not good enough or never finishing it.
Yeah,
always. And the best songs I feel like I've ever written, like the ones that I always go back to and I'm like, oh, this is so good, are like the ones that just came out of nowhere and that had no influence. Like they have influence, but like they didn't come from me trying to be someone else.
I totally agree. Like I remember I went with my family. I went up to Maine with them last year, and I remember the entire weekend I was like, I'm going to write something awesome this weekend. Like I'm going to be in the serene, quiet place. I'm going to write something awesome. And I remember I would sit down by the water and I would I kept playing these like this, like I kept trying to play like these like Daniel Caesar Rex Orange County major 7, major 7, minor 7 chords. Like all I would play was like.
I mean, the progression sounds cool.
I would literally play this for hours and I'd be like,
what does it go to?
Like I can't figure this out. And it was because in a way I was just trying to be them. And like once I tried to simplify it a little bit. Like I watched this John Mayer interview recently where he was talking about how like simple is more in songwriting. And I think that that's so true. Like once you just try to take the pressure off and write the way you're going to write, it's just like, it's so much easier.
100%. And like, I find I have so many, like, I literally have like a million unfinished songs that just, I would like be trying so hard to write like someone I wasn't. And like, I would listen to, for example, I would listen to like a really sad breakup song and try to write a song like that when I hadn't just been through a breakup. And it's like that like disingenuity, whatever, like that trying to be someone else is like what makes it so much harder. With trying to be honest with myself and just write from the heart and write about what I'm going through, it makes it so much easier because it's almost just like writing what I'm feeling and not like trying to be super technical about it and be like, okay, how can I make this sound good? How do I make that rhyme? How do I make this, you know?
I agree.
Totally. I think that what's interesting when you talk about that is like not experience something but trying to write about it. I think that you can either fail in the way that you're you're trying too hard and you can't feel it, or you can kind of get this really interesting view on it that nobody's really had before, or something totally different. Like if you've never been through a real heartbreak or something, right? Like you can.
It's hard to kind of express.
It's hard, but if you're able to think about how that would feel for you, like you've never actually felt it, and so you don't know how other people feel. So you might have a completely interesting, like cool, revolutionary idea, right? Which is really cool to think about.
I think it is cool. All right,
I think it's great. So I think we don't have much time left on our free Zoom call.
So sad.
Anything? Let's see. Oh, any Netflix shows you've been watching?
I finished Tiger King recently.
Really?
Okay.
I think everybody's watched that at this point.
I have not watched it.
I watched 2 episodes, and I don't know. It was kind of weird for me. Like watching it, I was
so weird. But Dempsey, I promise you, it's so weird that it's amazing.
I gotta watch
it's
it.
Like it's like fake. It's so it's so crazy
surreal.
that it seems fake. It's so entertaining. I watched that recently. I binge watched Downton Abbey with my parents like a couple weeks ago.
That's
Such
cute.
a good show. Yeah, those are kind of my main ones.
That's
right
cool.
now. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you,
Adios,
Illeana, for
senor.
joining
Thank you for having
today.
me on. Good seeing you
I
guys.
know,
Of
it's
course.
great to have you. Adios, senor.
Yes.
Adios, senor.
We will see you soon. Stay safe.
Bye.
Yeah,
You
Stay
too.
stay
happy.
inside. Yeah, stay happy.
Stay inside.
Most important.
I will.
All right,
All
take
right.
care, guys.
We'll talk to you
Bye,
later.
guys.